Welcome to Always an Escrow with Serena Appel and Colby Burchin. Hello, Colby, throwing it right to you.
How are you? I'm ready for some tennis, baby.
Let's go because we are joined by the wonderful, our friend, our dear tennis expert, Jason Zafiros, managing partner of the Rick Macy Tennis Academy, tournament director of Battle of Boca, one of the most prestigious prize money tournaments in the world. He has been inducted into the Greek Hall of Fame. He is here today to talk all about the 2024 US Open and the current state of tennis. Welcome back to the show, Jason.
Thank you. What a great introduction, Chloe, Serena. Always a pleasure. I'm so excited to talk some tennis with you guys, even though you guys look like you're ready to go. So,
I'm ready. I feel like I'm
US Open, better watch out.
Okay, so I want to know, I'm getting right into it. Were you disappointed that Navarro lost?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Navarro is such an inspiration for American tennis and for college tennis. Let's not forget that this U.S. Open is almost a feature of college tennis. You have Pagula and Navarro. A lot of the men's, they went through the college process. So yeah, I really like Navarro. They call her Navarro, that Navarro chill. She's not one that's gonna make the crowd go crazy, not be flashy. But she's so calm. Her mental toughness is second to none. So yes, am I disappointed? Absolutely. But look, she ran across the probably the arguably the best player on the hard courts. So that's going to happen in Sabalenka. What can you say about her? The power game, her serve, just her ability to deal with momentum changes, and she's just willing her way into this finals. And you have to have her as the favorite to win the tournament. After what happened last year, she's on a redemption tour. She didn't forget that everyone was against her against Coco Golf in the finals last year. So Sabalenka's got something to prove. But Navarro, we are going to see her much, much more. I guarantee that.
I hope so. I like her. So that being said, Pugula or Sabalenka, who do you think?
I have Sabalenka in this one. But you know what? So did a lot of people with going against Pagula the last couple of rounds. I actually had Mahova winning yesterday over Pagula. Mahova to me is the next great champion. I don't like to use the word choked, but she was up a set 2-0. Should have went up 3-love. She has a man's game, serve and volley. Any short ball, she's coming forward. The ability to chip, her volley is incredible. It's better than most guys, which is crazy. Even Kyrgios was talking about it last night, how it's one of his favorite players because she does have that man's game. I'm very surprised she lost that match yesterday. So Pagula has not been past the quarterfinals in a slam since this U.S. Open. Now she was in the semis. Now she's in the finals. Sabalenka to me is the better player, but it's US, it's Pagula. It's going to be going crazy for her. I do not count her out. I just give Sabalenka the slight edge.
Okay. A little gossip here. I wonder if you know this. Okay. This is for both of you. Okay.
Okay.
Pagula's father, what sports team does he own?
Bills. I beat you to it. Sorry. No,
Buffalo
you ready
Bills.
for this one though? What's crazy is Navarro and Pagula are both billionaires. That's what's insane. So you have two girls in the semifinals that both of their fathers are worth over $1 billion. That's crazy. How I coach when I'm coaching a student, I'm like, oh well, if we were in Eastern Europe or grew up poor and was getting bombed, and that's how you make it. Well, they just throw all of that out the window because they are extremely rich. Like you said, owner of the Bills. Navarro, his parents are loaded. I believe he owns like a huge, I forget the company. I was looking it up the other day, but multi-billionaire. But crazy how both girls are so humble and their work ethic is unbelievable. and they're so rich. So it throws out that whole you can't be rich and make it in tennis out the window with those two girls.
Jason's so rich.
Crazy. Billions.
Okay.
Billions. Yeah.
So Tiafo and Fritz are playing, two Americans in the semifinals. What are you thinking?
Fritz owns Tiafo, 6-1 record. But you could take that record and just throw it away. One man is going to be in the U.S. Open Finals from the United States. Look at this. I got my jacket. I got my hat. I'm representing the U.S. I love America. I love American tennis. Now, Roddick is the last American man, 2003, to win the U.S. Open. And now one of these gentlemen is going to have a shot to be in a U.S. Open final and play for a title. It's been over 20 years since multi-American men and women have been in the Grand Slam semis in a Grand Slam. But look, Tiafo runs on energy. I mean, the guy wears like basketball jerseys to practice. Like he thinks this is an NBA game. He's so hyped up for this match. So yes, Fritz. But I must say, when you have a 6-1 record on somebody, that does get in your head. So I think Tiafo is going to have a tough time winning this match. I think it's going to be interesting how they handle their nerves. Primetime U.S. Open, famous people everywhere. I think it's going to come down to who handles their nerves better. I'm going with the upset. I'm going Tiafo, 5 sets over Fritz, playing for a Grand Slam final.
I'm going Fritz.
Well, that's a safe call. Fritz, by far, safe call. Um, Definitely has a good chance. I think Tiafo is trying to go one step further. He had that great semifinal run in the U.S. Open before, and I don't know. I just think it's his time, and I think it's going to be a tough task to win it all. Because I'll let you talk about the next question. It's probably coming up with Big Sinner, but this semifinal is going to be so exciting.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
You have Sinner and Draper. What's interesting is Draper does have a win over Sinner. Sinner doesn't lose really on hard courts. And, I just think that Sinner is going to be too tough in the semifinals. He's the only person left that has a Grand Slam title. One of these four gentlemen will have their first U.S. Open final. But Sinner has dealt with a lot of controversy. Let's just talk about it. He, was caught with steroids. And that was kind of the talk of going into this tournament. He immediately went down a set in the early rounds, and you would think that maybe he was mentally a little bit drained from how much criticism he's getting over that. I mean, look, not to talk too much about it, but it was 0.00001. It was like a cream supposedly that a trainer was using. Look, I'm sure a lot of players have been argued against it. They're upset about it. They think that he should be banned for a while. You look at Brooksby. Brooksby was banned for over a year. I mean, it's going to be hard for him to even get back in tennis. It's very controversial to say that something is an accident. I mean, these players, it's very by the inch of what they're putting in their body. They know they're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for these trainers. So do I find it a little bit sketchy that they just didn't know? Yeah. I find it a little bit sketchy. And one could argue that he should be in more trouble than just giving his money back at Indian Wells when he's loaded, and Kyrgios has been very upfront about this. He's also a controversial character, but I think mentally that's kind of behind him now. And now it's more, he's so laser focused on getting another slam. He's one of the best players in the world.
Wow. Serena, you're up. Let's go fashion. Let's go lifestyle.
Let's start with, we're seeing the actors, the singers, we're seeing the athletes come out, right? We're seeing Olympians coming out to watch, right? These gold medalists are coming by and they're having the time of their lives. It's it must be amazing. I mean, I heard one of the speeches call out, that there was a celebrity in the stands and that they were a huge fan. I mean, what is that like when all eyes are on the court? You know that it's just it's fire.
That's a really good question. People don't think about it. They just kind of see that all these celebrities on TV and watching these athletes. Look, I think it's actually pretty. It makes the nerves even more. Look, these athletes are human beings. We like to think they're robots. They're out there by themselves. They see the big screen. They know exactly who's there. A lot of them probably try not to look up. But what a great thing for our sport in tennis to have these top athletes. I mean, you have Simone Biles. You had
Yes,
my favorite actor, Ted Lasso, was out there.
yes,
I love that show, and Jason was out there. You're fresh off the Olympics, so I think that a lot of these players actually bonded there, and so they came out to support. But look, it's another layer of pressure, but also it's a level of excitement for these players. I mean, people like Tiafo, they thrive off of this. They love that the stars are out in New York, bright lights, the greatest, biggest, best city in the world. So I think it brings another layer, and it also, I mean, everything is bigger this U.S. Open. You have, of course, in the Big Apple, but the prize money, I mean, is just dramatic. It's $100,000 to lose in the first round. So when you add all of this, the stars, the money, the fame, these players are just eating this up. And I just think it's so cool to have them being interviewed, the other athletes, to let them to like hear their perspective on why they appreciate tennis. Because when they're watching, I guarantee you, when you're live watching, it's another level of athleticism that they're seeing. And they're like, wow, tennis is no joke. To see these guys play 5 sets, to see these ladies hit the ball at 90 miles an hour, and they're just a good appreciation for the game. And I love seeing the stars in the stands, and it makes me want to fly to New York, except I'm scared of flying, so I can't even go to the tournament.
Well, I will say that I know also, like, raise the curtain up that those big sponsors that have been there for many years are also inviting the celebs to come. And those celebs are getting decked out. They are showing up in their most fashionable outfits, right? It's like the end of summer, moving into fall. They're showing up, they're dressed up, they're also, glammed up. We're seeing a lot of glam coming through, and those are definitely from, the boxes of like the Moets and, those sponsors.
What you also have is what people don't understand or realize, and I'll try to
Yeah.
give some perspective is there are a lot of deals that are actually being made in those suites that you see.
Hmm.
So a lot of those famous people that are there, especially when you saw Serena and Federer come back, it wouldn't surprise me if Federer was there on a Nike, or not Nike. He's not with Nike, but there are deals, Rolex, whatever it might be, where he makes an appearance,
Yes.
doing a sponsorship deal. So at the US Open, though, not for maybe as much the former players, but the current ones, a lot of big endorsement deals are being made there. So Tiafo, these guys, Fritz, they're in the semis now. They are making so much money off the court that, yes, the prize money is incredible, but all that glam you see with all those famous people, they're there meeting their sponsors. It's where all these people are coming together in those private suites, and they're all just making money, and good for them and good for the sport of tennis. And yeah, they all are decked out, and I'm really happy to see Federer and Serena and Roddick, three huge players, still around. Because look, they retired, they don't have to be there. Sampras, very rarely, he's one that kind of disappeared and doesn't really come around. And it was good to see Agassi out there for the doubles that they did. But to see these former players come back is really huge for the sport. And Roddick being there, maybe that's just telling. Maybe an American is going to win this tournament. Roddick beat Ferrero, Alcaraz's coach, in the finals, straight sets in 2003. Roddick was one of the reasons I played tennis. It's so good to see him at the tournament. I really badly want an American to win this year
Me
It
too.
would be yeah, it's exciting.
It
on the
is
men's or
interesting.
women's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is interesting. I read this that it's the largest turnout the U.S. Open has ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, tickets, as you could see, that stadium is full. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, even the nights Tuesday night, I mean, people are working or Tuesday midday, so you don't see it fully full because people are getting off work. But I mean, there was another huge stat that came out. That famous drink that you see, the alcoholic beverage,
Honeydews,
yeah, $10
Grey Goose.
million.
Yeah, yeah,
That is insanity.
yeah.
So, I mean, as long as that prize money is going up, if they're going to make this kind of money, in my opinion, the prize money should be even higher, and it should be at the lower level in the qualies and beyond, because the U.S. Open is bringing in so much money. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So,
Yeah.
my opinion is the money needs to go to the grassroots of tennis,
Mm.
because of what the U.S. Open brings in, and I don't think that's done enough. But what an exciting time when I'm coaching. Today I had a 10-year-old that I'm coaching, and she was just at the New York U.S. Open this week, and that's how it starts. You go to the match, you have a dream, and you try to reach that dream, and it seems so far away until it's not. And you look at people like Corey Goff, Coco. People are disappointed in that. I think she has to go back to the drawing board. Love her family. I think she has a lot of work to do and a lot of questions that need to be answered. But you know what? She's young. Navarro got her. She got her the last slam too. But you have to say Navarro is here to stay, and that shows how you have to constantly be getting better. Because if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, and that's kind of what it comes down to. So it's exciting times for men's and women's tennis. But we need a man to win the U.S. Open. It's about time. It's been 20 years. Let's see if Tiafoe Fritz can get it done.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so much excitement in that stadium, and you just mentioned um, the amount of money that is being spent at the stadium. Tickets for those boxes. Kind of that access is there, right? You buy tickets, but what's also incredible is you can buy, for $25, you can get access to the village, and you could just be in the energy that's outside of the games, right? That's right outside. And what is offered to you is amazing dining opportunities and this experience to be part of the energy and just be on the outside a little bit. But I think that's really telling too. I've noticed this year that there were many more dining options. So whereas before it was like really like fast, casual kind of offerings, and we see a lot of like New York City iconic, food establishments that are coming up. Carnegie Deli's there, Italy's there, Pat LaFrida Meeks is there, and then there's also these like incredible sit down experiences that are being offered. So there's really this
Yeah,
moment.
they're adding a lot. I mean, as a tournament director, I have to say I'm a different director in the standpoint of I don't. It's not a grand slam. It's not once a year, so I'm doing something every weekend. But I must say is because I used to work in an office that was doing we ran the Miami Open, and this stuff happens a year in advance. So they've been getting this U.S. Open ready from a year ago. All these sponsors, the food, all these opportunities to grow the sport, and make it more fan friendly. And like you said, to be able to spend 25 bucks, just get in there, just feel like you're part of it. Because look, not everyone can afford $1,000 seat at the top of the stadium. A very few amount of people can afford that. So that's great that the tickets are so expensive, and that's great for people that could actually be there. But there are a lot of people that can't. They got to watch at home, or they got to spend a $25. They could be part of the action. But like I said, for that 8, 9-year-old just to be there, it gives them a dream. It gives them something to look forward to. It gives them hope. And I feel like in today's world, we need sports to kind of to give us that hope, because we're in a very different world now, and a very, very hostile kind of world, and people are always fighting and disagreeing, whether it's political, whatever it is. And I think this US Open has brought people, and the Olympics has brought people together to not think about politics, to not think about anything, to just kind of enjoy and just get behind an American player to succeed. And people see themselves in Emma Navarro. So people see themselves in Jessica Pagula. People see themselves in Tiafo. I think that's very important for kids to have that hope, and see themselves in a player. And by the way, that's a huge weight that these players have to hold, a big responsibility for them, because they're huge role models. So every single thing that they do matters on the court and off the court.
Okay, so let's talk about the energy of the stadium. Let's talk about one rule that I think that was lifted this year about allowing people to go to their seats during serve. Did you hear about that? Do you know about
Yes.
that moment?
Yes.
What's that about? And
All
do
right.
you think
So
that takes away from the
yeah,
game?
I mean, as tennis players, we're very weird. We like things quiet. We
Right.
like things, we're individual people. Tennis players are, and I don't, when I say weird, I don't mean like they're terrible people. They're weird people. Like, but they're different. They think differently, and that's why they're so good. But I completely agree with just letting people do what they want to do. They spent a fortune for that ticket. They spent a fortune. They flew there. They're there to tell someone don't go in after they just spent $2,000 on a ticket. It's probably the fault of the subway or something else that they're like a little bit late or whatever. The crowd, let them walk in and sit down. If Yannick Sinner, the number one player in the world, cannot focus on his serve because someone is standing up, then he probably shouldn't be number one in the world. That's my opinion. It might be controversial, but I just think that people should do okay. Not what they want, be disrespectful. Don't run on
Right.
the court, get arrested.
Right.
But if people look, it's New York. You're getting paid $3 million if you win the tournament. So if you have to deal with a little bit of noise in the crowd and people walking around and it being like a party, and you can't win because of that, then you probably should go back with your team and get something worked on, because you don't deserve to be there, in my opinion. They're the best in the world. Give me a break. They can't deal with a little noise. Come on. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, so have you ever experienced the energy in the stadium, like, in a similar format, like at another tournament?
I mean, no, there's honestly, I mean, I've been to the US Open. There's nothing like it. That's why you have these players that are training so hard to get there. So I'd be lying to you if I've ever experienced even remotely anything like that. You have to understand that's the biggest stadium in our sport. So there's and it's full. So no, I mean, and it's intimidating. I've walked in there, I've hit a couple balls in there. I mean, it's scary just in there with no one in there. Then you fill that place up. That's extremely scary. And by the way, I mean, some of those players, because of their ranking, it was their first time being in there playing, and they won. So, I mean, you have people like Tommy Paul that haven't even played in there until recently. So, and by the way, Tommy Paul did incredible. I love Tommy Paul. I think TP is going to, be an extremely, he's going to be up in the rankings for a long time. American tennis is in great hands. You have him, you have obviously Tiafo Fritz, but you have so many Americans coming up. But back to the stadium, no, I've never experienced that. I don't know how the players even handle that, but you have to understand they also like they thrive off of it. So if that stadium is not making noise and pumped up for him, he's not going to win the match. So I think it's a negative and a positive. The stadium, the noise, who thrives off of it, who doesn't. I mean, but you could argue that they pulled Coco through that match last year. So the crowd is the third person that you're playing against. If you're Sabalenka tomorrow, you're playing against the crowd.
So, Jason, Battle of Boca is huge now. Probably when we first met you a couple of years ago when we got you on the podcast, it was big. Now it's household name. You must be so proud. I know it's your baby. Congrats to you. I was actually showing property a couple weeks ago, and this family, we were talking about Rick Macy, and they said, "Yeah, he's great. He's not really, really the one that runs it. Jason Zafiros is everything." And I know Jason. Jason's my friend. I am so happy for you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, thanks for bringing it up. Many players at the U.S. Open played Battle of Boca. So you have Ben Shelton played Battle of Boca, Jerry Shang, who actually did extremely well, played Battle of Boca when he was 14. You have so many players that were there, probably about 8 to 10 players that have played Battle of Boca, for me, that's really why I'm excited about the tournament, because you look at that they maybe use Battle of Boca as a stepping stone when everything was shut down. And now they're playing in the biggest tournament that you could play in, which is the US Open. So, what I try to tell the players that play Battle of Boca Saturday morning, we go over the rules of the tournament. I bring everyone inside. Not everyone is there because it's only 16 matches that go at 8 a.m. But I kind of list some of the people that have also played while I'm going over the rules to kind of give them, just a little bit of hope for them, because, I'm not, I am the tournament director, but I'm also a tennis coach. So I kind of put my coach's hat on as well. And I like to, think that these players one day I'm going to watch them on TV. I hope they move on from my tournament and they end up at the US Open. But yeah, the reason Battle Boca has kind of just exploded is because, it's an international tournament now. So now a lot of foreign countries, they're flying here. The Nadal Academy came. They brought 30 kids. Rafa's Academy and myself, we're in communication to make that like every 3 months that they come down. So that's huge. You had Berrettini's current coach, who was Nadal's coach for a while. He was here a few months ago. He brought a player. He didn't bring Berrettini. That would have been awesome. But so you have a lot of famous people who are coming through the tournament as well. So we don't have that U.S. Open glam just yet. But, we've had Tyson, you guys know. We've had some big politicians. So, we've had some big people.
The biggest of all, Jason, and they played on your courts. They're still trying to get into your calendar. I think they're my 3 kids.
Oh, three, yeah, they are the biggest of all. Your kids are the biggest of all. Yeah, we did a group lesson one evening. We need to get back at it, but yeah, so they're definitely bigger than Tyson coming as Colby's kids, 100%. Colby, I mean, and you too. I guess you got the zinc on your face. Serena's got the U.S. Open
Yeah.
hat, so you guys are ready to go.
Day.
But Boca is such a huge area for tennis. Um, the prize money that we're doing each weekend is huge. These players are really hurting for money. You see the U.S. Open; it must be nice to get $100,000 first round, but that's only the people in that draw. There's hundreds and hundreds of people that are really, really good that aren't in the tournament that are broke. So that's why a lot of people are going to pickleball, and tennis is losing a lot of players to that. I'm not thrilled with that at all. But I like to think the Battle of Boca is helping provide income to these players to allow them to travel and reach their dreams, because that's the end goal, is to obviously play US Open, Wimbledon, whatever their goal might be. But that takes money, and it takes a team to support you. You look at these players at the U.S. Open. We look at all the cool things. We look at Tiafo. We look at his box. He's blessed to have a huge team, but guess what? He was broke when he was young. His father had to be a janitor at JTCC. It's in Maryland. I've been there for an ITF tournament. I've met his family. His dad was dirt poor to provide for his son. So when you're young, it's tough to make it. And then when you're older, you have the money coming in from the tournaments if you're a really good player. But most of these players are not that fortunate.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. You're really a visionary, and we're just so happy to always have you on the show. One last thing before we close out. If we're we discussed the honeydews, and yes, if you're drinking and imbibing that way, that is the most popular drink at the U.S. Open these days. But I did want to shed a light on another product, the non-alcoholic products that are also available there and taking the court as well. Heineken is a major player at the Open, and they rebranded their Heineken 00 with a love can just for this year. And I just love seeing that there are these lots of non-alcoholic options that are making their way into the stadium, into the village. And there's definitely a story with the honey deuce, but I look forward to seeing a lot more of like the non-alcoholic offerings too.
Me too. I don't drink, so that's what I would be drinking for sure. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good these products have made their way into the U.S. Open, and you definitely don't have to drink an alcoholic beverage to enjoy this tennis. 3 o'clock is going to be Sinner and Draper. 7 o'clock to follow, prime time American matchup. So I'll be drinking my non-alcoholic beverage to watch that, and then I'll see everyone at the Battle of Boca tomorrow. It's going to be exciting matches tomorrow at Battle of Boca.
Amazing. Great to be with you. Thank you so much, Daisy.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you
All right,
so
Colby.
much.
All right, buddy. Take that sunscreen off.